Hi, my name is Stephanie Sahano. I'm from Sacred Self Healing, and today I'm going to let you in on the process of how I do my daily paintings. So the first thing that I do is I think about my day and all the things that happened, and I think about what is the thing that moved me the most or some lesson that I learned. And today I did 3 breathwork training classes because I'm becoming a breathwork facilitator. I had a meeting with some friends, a weekly video chat, and then I also had a meeting with my mentor, my coaching mentor. And it was a very fruitful meeting. And one of my favorite moments from it was when she said how proud she was of me because of all that I've learned during my cancer journey and still pursuing my training despite the fact that I was living with cancer and having all the treatments that I had, which were challenging and full of complications, but I'm on the other side of that now. And so I think today's painting is going to be my excitement and my mentor's excitement during the call when we were together. This is how I do the drawing. So I'm going to do my Zoom screen. And you might notice that my hands can be a little bit wobbly sometimes, and I don't mind it. It is what it is. My lines are not perfect, not perfectly straight. But what's important is, can I do a painting that tells the story of what I'm excited about or what happened for me that day? So this is going to be me sitting at my desk because on the Zoom screen, I was in the bottom box and she was in the top box. And I'm going to put a notepad because I was furiously taking notes about everything she said. So I'll put my hand there with the pen. On so many things that I wrote about. And my other hand will just be sitting on the desk, holding the paper steady. That's not the right angle. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to do it like that. That's a better angle. I'll fix that later when I do the inking. One thing I want you to notice as I'm doing this is that mistakes are not a problem. They're just not a problem. And now I'm going to do my mentor's face, and she has her own doodle avatar with hair like that and a bun. And in real life, she has these really beautiful glasses. So I'm going to put those beautiful glasses there. And a really big smile because she was so excited. And I'm going to put her desk there. And I'm making her heart really big. Like mine is pretty big too. And I'm going to have her hands on her heart. Oh no, I know. There was a moment when she celebrated by putting her hands up in the air and saying how proud she was of me. So I'm going to do that motion. Like that. Hooray for Stephanie. Oops, that's way too big for a hand. Another mistake. Just erase it. Hooray for Stephanie. Yeah, I like that shoulder position better, so I'm going to do it up there. All right. So here, I'm going to write, her thought bubble is going to say, I'm so proud of you, with an exclamation point, because that's exactly what she said. And that felt really good for me to hear. And I'm going to say, thank you. I'm proud of me too. I am proud of me too. And sometimes it's hard for me to admit that, and I've had a lot of troubles in my life, and so making my life into all that it is today feels like a massive accomplishment. So now I'm going to do the part that's the inking. First, I think I'm going to do her hair and her face. And her great big smile. She's so happy for me. And then I'm going to do her celebrating hands. And actually, I'm going to make them, she was kind of like pumping her fists, so I'm going to give them these little motion marks to make it look like her arms are doing something. She's in action. And her great big heart. And then I'm so proud of you. And her speech bubble. This is a cartoon, so she gets to have a speech bubble. And then I'm going to do her box on the Zoom screen. Oh yeah, and I forgot her desk there. And then my thought bubble. And you may notice that I didn't keep the words exactly where they were when I first wrote them. I felt like an adjustment might be a better way to fit it. So I just do what feels right, and I just change it up in the middle of the process. It's perfectly okay. So there's me being excited and proud of myself too. And that's my hand holding the paper steady while I was furiously taking notes. That's my hand holding the pen. Oh. Make a mistake, just fix it in the middle of everything. Everything doesn't have to be perfect because this is just a cartoon. Doesn't matter if the lines are straight. Doesn't matter if a line goes through something it shouldn't go through. It's all good. And then the next thing I'm going to do is search for my eraser. There it is. So now I'm going to erase the pencil lines. This is my favorite eraser. It's the Pentel High Polymer Eraser. I just find that it does a really nice job taking away the lines that I drew in pencil. I draw them pretty lightly. It leaves a little bit of dust, so I'm going to take it off screen for a second and just take off the eraser dust into my wastebasket. Now you can see that I have a pretty good drawing to ink, and I'm gonna write, let's see, I have to figure out what the day is today, because I do a painting every day. Today is day 587. Day 587. I'm going to call it My Hard Work Has Paid Off. And this is how I do my signature. Today is January 25th of 2024. And since my name is Stephanie Sahano, I do my initials SS. All right, now for the fun part. I'm going to start painting it in. My teacher's skin is a little bit of a darker skin tone than mine, more golden, so I'm going to start with her skin tone. And then she has very dark hair, so I'm going to do her hair very dark brown. Actually, she's got really more like black hair. I'm going to do her hair in black. She was so excited, and it was such a pleasure to feel her excitement, because normally we don't get to see each other one-on-one like this. This was a special occasion. As long as I've got black on the paintbrush, I'm going to also do my hair, because my hair is also black. Although in real life it's starting to get little sparkles, little diamonds of gray hair that twinkle in the light when the light is just right. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is our big bold hearts. And I always do hearts for all the people, and I do them in this beautiful magenta color. I think it might be called quinacridone rose, but I don't really know, because the paint set has always some kind of euphemistic term for it. Usually I paint my face first, and whatever's left on the brush I use to paint my cheeks, and I forgot today. This feels a little bit too intense and needs some water. Alright, and I think I'm just going to borrow a tiny bit of the pigment from there to do my cheeks while it's wet, to do her cheeks while it's wet. There we go. That's how I get the cheeks in. Pretty much all the paintings have cheeks. I usually use a purple pen, so I'm gonna make this into a purple pen. Oh, and here I see I forgot to do my hands, so I'm gonna go back to my flesh tone, which the paint says is called, the color is called lemonade, pink lemonade or something like that. But I don't think that's technically the name of the paint. Alright, and now my teacher was wearing a red shirt, so I'm going to do her shirt in red. My mentor, she's one of the most beautiful people I know. She just wants everybody to be as healthy as possible, and she's so supportive of everyone that I've ever seen her encounter. I'm going to use a little bit of that leftover red and do her speech bubble in that red so that it matches her. And the way that I make the colors of the speech bubble is, this is a brush that has a water reservoir, like a water brush. So then I add a little drip of water, and I grab some pigment from that outside line that I just drew, and I make it blend in as much as I can. And the reason I do this is because if I ever use the background remover in Canva, where I make the meme that I post every night, if the speech bubble doesn't have color, it just takes out the background of that. Like it just takes out the speech bubble too, completely removes it. Alright, so I don't need that palette anymore. Now I'm going to go back to my main palette. These paints are really good paints, and so the pigment is very intense, so I have to lighten the pigment by adding a little water so that it's not, because this purple will look like it's almost black. If I don't add enough water. And I don't know if you can tell, but the purple of the pen is like a violet, lavender kind of color, and my shirt is a much darker color. Now, because my doodle avatar usually has teal and purple, and the part that would be teal is underneath the table, I'm going to use the teal for my thought bubble. So the teal will still appear in the painting, and it'll look like my color scheme. Well, that might be a little bit dark. Well, we'll see how it turns out. Could have maybe used a little bit more water. I'm going to wash the tip of the water brush, and then I'm just going to bring in a little bit of light water. Now you might be thinking, well, what do you mean you're proud of yourself? That's not right. People aren't supposed to be proud of themselves, but I actually think we are. I think it's okay for us to acknowledge all of our growth and how far we've come, especially when we've come a really long way like I have. All right, and then I want to do the zoom background thing. But I'm going to use a larger brush for that. Don't need this little precision one. So I'm going to use this larger one. And if I run outside the lines, I don't mind. Part of the way that I think about my paintings is this is an opportunity for me to see that when I make mistakes, the world does not stop turning. I actually have a painting of that. That's something that my husband said to me the first time we were in Australia and I couldn't figure out how to flush the toilets or turn on the lights or cross the street. And he said, if you make a mistake when you push the wrong button on the toilet, the world will not stop turning. And he was right. So you can see I'm being very casual about the lines. It does not have to be perfect. I used to be a perfectionist, and I realized that being a perfectionist is a trauma response. And as I mentioned before, I've had a very difficult time in my life, which I might explain further in some other videos, but not in this one today. Today I want you to just notice that it's perfectly all right to paint outside the lines. It's perfectly all right to make mistakes. And the thing I know is that I'm inherently good, and my goodness is not impacted by the mistakes. And when you make mistakes, your goodness is not impacted by your mistakes either, because your goodness is inherent to who you are. And if somebody tells you otherwise, if somebody says that you're bad or evil or criticizes you somehow, you do not have to take their opinion on board. Like some people, like there's probably going to be trolls out there who will eventually criticize my painting style, the rough way that I do my drawings, and that maybe meets some need for them, like they need a little serotonin hit or something, and so they do that. They behave like a troll, and if that is what they need in order to get through their life right now, I'm not going to begrudge them that. I would love to listen to them and find out what kind of support they could use instead of criticizing them or taking it on board. It doesn't belong to me. All right, just one more section to color and we'll be done with this one. And I think what I might do is do that pointy part first. Okay. I love the effects that watercolor has, where sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter. I love especially this thing right here. This is called a bloom. When the paint merges into another color, watercolor paint follows wherever it's wet, it will flow. And so that blue paint came in contact with the wet black paint and it bloomed. It's doing it over on this side too. I love that effect. When I want it though, I can't seem to make it happen. Not as beautifully as it does sometimes when it happens spontaneously. So I choose to be amused by that. And now I'm just evening it out just a little bit. All right, there you have it. That is my painting of the day for January 25th, 2024. So I will take a photograph of this. Oh, look at how much more beautifully it's blooming. Oh gosh, look at that. This area right here, it's just gorgeous. I love it. Some people will think it's a mistake. Let them think it's a mistake. But to me, it's just another layer of added beauty. So I guess I'm going to say the conclusion of this video is you get to be proud of yourself the way that I'm proud of me too. Mistakes do not detract from your inherent goodness. And the world does not stop turning when you make mistakes. Also, if you're a perfectionist, it's probably a trauma response, so it might be worth looking into that. I do coaching, one-on-one coaching and in small groups, and if you would like some help with that, put my website and email address and phone number at the end of this video.